Hi everybody, welcome to Aimee Nolte Music. I was chatting with my friend Lucas the other day on an Instagram Live, and he made me think of a really cool analogy that it just keeps hitting home to me day after day. After I've talked to him, I just keep thinking about this analogy and thinking of ways that it's kind of perfect. It's the cooking analogy. It's the musician and chef analogy, if you will. I think we were talking about transcribing, and Lucas said, well, you kind of take bits and pieces of what you learned from the masters, and then you use them and put them into your own music, kind of like a chef does with ingredients. It might not seem so profound, but it keeps hitting on different levels for me, so I wanted to tell you about that a little bit. One time I was teaching a brand new student over Skype, and they said that they were just barely learning their major scales, and they could play a C scale, and they're working on a G scale. But they also said, I also saw your video about McCoy Tyner and his playing on My Favorite Things, so I purchased your worksheet about that, and I've been working on that. It's like super beginner and pretty advanced, all at the same time. That's like the first thing that this student told me about themselves. You would think that that might be really unique, like a unique situation that I've never encountered before, but it's not true. In this internet age where we've got all this online content where we can learn anything we want at any time we want, it's kind of becoming more common. This student also said, I can't read music, but I can play Maple Leaf Rag. And then they played Maple Leaf Rag. I think you get how that might be the case. How somebody could not even know how to read music, just barely be working on their G major scale, but know how to play Maple Leaf Rag. It's because of these YouTube videos where somebody says, this is how you play Maple Leaf Rag, and they've got the software with the keyboard laid out, and the lights on the keys light up green as they play. You know what I'm talking about. You can kind of learn anything. My nephew showed me that he could play Stevie Wonder's Superstition. He could play like dunk 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 dunk. He had dunk he had everything. But he just learned it from YouTube and from one of those videos with the light up keys. Some people really like those. It reminds me of a kind of musician that I'm really aware of and I've encountered a lot in my life. And I hope he doesn't get mad at me, but my father-in-law is one of these kind of musicians where he gets a lot about music. And when he was a kid, he took some piano lessons, and about 6 or 7 songs stuck with him at that time, and he can still play them now that he's 65, 70 years old or something. He still plays them. They're all in his fingers, and anytime he sits down to the piano, he plays one of those songs, like Moonlight Sonata or The Entertainer. I know many adults who have this kind of thing going on where they learned some songs when they were a kid, and those songs are gonna be what they play every time they sit at a piano for the rest of their life. And they know 6 or 7 of them, so that's enough for them. And they feel like they've got some grasp of the piano. That's enough. And it is enough for them. It wouldn't be enough for me, but I'm a different kind of musician. This is where the cooking thing comes in. For me, when I cook, there are some things I know how to make and that I go to all the time and make, but sometimes I need something else. Like maybe I want to make a brand new kind of pasta salad. So I'm just going to Google a recipe, right? I'm going to find one that has a pretty picture and looks good. And then I'm going to look it up. I'm going to buy the ingredients. I'm going to do my best to just create this pasta salad, take it to the party I'm going to, call it good, probably, not ever reference that recipe again unless it's killer. That's fine for me. I'm okay with when I need to make a pasta salad, I look up a brand new recipe, I make it, I try it, I do my best. I don't think about it anymore. It's also kind of like the chicken enchilada recipe that I've been making for 20 years. It's my go-to. I make it all the time. I always make it the same. When it's time to make it, I make it. It's like learning Maple Leaf Rag and sitting down and playing Maple Leaf Rag. But if you're really going to be a cook, there's so much more to think about, right? I remember I watched that really cool Netflix show about salt and heat and fat and acid. And they talked about these 4 components or concepts that are like key to cooking. And then like one whole episode was about fat. And she went and saw these pigs hanging up, and she was, they were cutting the fat off of a certain part of the pig. And then she went to some kind of a olive farm. There's got to be a better name for that. Place where they grow olives. And then they talked about all kinds of different olive oils. They talked about butter. This kind of thing seems to me like if I want to learn to play over rhythm changes, and I transcribed Charlie Parker playing over rhythm changes, and then I transcribed Bud Powell playing over rhythm changes, and Thelonious Monk, and Dexter Gordon, and it's kind of like different fats in cooking. Like, I want to play as good as I can on rhythm changes, so I'm going to explore all the ways that people have done it and try to come up with my own ways, and that's passion. That's what I've got for music that I do not have for cooking. Maybe my father-in-law, baseball is his thing. So music is just kind of his, a thing. And that's what it is for him. But baseball is his thing. And if you ask him anything about baseball, he can tell you and theorize and just baseball, right? Like, that's his thing. We've all kind of got our things, and that's fine. But you kind of have to decide at some point what kind of a musician you're going to be. Are you going to be the kind of musician who's okay playing Maple Leaf Rag as kind of a party trick for the rest of your life? Or are you going to be the kind of musician who explores and explores until you can play over rhythm changes like a boss? I have a friend who's a great cook, and one time she came over to my house and she was going to cook. And I said, should I go to the grocery store and get anything? And she goes, no. One of my favorite challenges is to look at what you've got in your fridge and in your pantry and make what I can make out of it. That's a talent. That's a passion. It's a little bit like if you get thrown into a middle school and the band only has 2 saxophones, but they've got 8 trumpets. What kind of a sound can you come up with to make out of this? It's a challenge. It'd be fun. Also be noisy. Another thing about a cook, my husband, he's a pretty good cook. And he gets a little bit irritated with me when I make scrambled eggs because I don't make them nearly as well as he does, because he really takes his time and he's like perfected the art of the scrambled egg. And for me, I kind of just want the protein and, the salty taste, and I'm good to go. He wants the perfect consistency, the perfect salty butter, whatever. That's what he's after. He just has a different kind of passion about scrambled eggs than I do. That's why some people want to learn on YouTube with the light up keys. That's what they're after. They're just after being able to play that groove on Superstition. They're not after saying, okay, what are the notes in that bass line? It's funky. I wonder what other funky songs I might be able to apply that bass line or that bass concept on. What's this kind of chord that Stevie Wonder's playing? Oh, it's like an altered dominant. Altered dominant, what does that even mean? Where else could I use it? It's that kind of a brain. If you're searching to go further and further about something, I think you know that you have a passion for it, and that's the kind of musician you're going to be. People ask me sometimes, what is my channel about on YouTube? And I tell them that my channel is about people using their ears more. To me, that's music. It's not seeing somebody else's hands and copying their hands, and it's not seeing what's written on the page and playing it. Part of it is that, but it's about taking your knowledge, taking what you hear, and creating your own thing. It's about taking a song and being able to play it in 7 different styles if you want to. It's about taking a song that has 3 chords and making it into a song that has 30 chords. Or taking a song that has 30 chords and making it into a song that has 3 chords. That's a cool idea too. But I want to say that it's just okay. It's okay, whatever kind of musician you want to be. I'm just glad that you're doing music in some capacity. I would say that, my friend who came over and wanted to make what was in my pantry, she's happy that I'm cooking like I'm cooking my normal chicken enchiladas. Like, she's happy for me about that. But we're different. She's got a passion for that. I've got a passion for this. It's what makes the world go round. Another thing to think about is that I can see a list of ingredients, like the way to make pancakes from scratch. And I can make pancakes from scratch, but there are probably all kinds of extra steps I can take in making pancakes from scratch that require a little more knowledge, a little more care, like getting the pan just the right heat, using a specific kind of flour. I don't know, all of these kinds of details that are important to make really good pancakes. You can make just okay pancakes, that's what I do, or you can, have attention to detail, learn from things you've already done in cooking to make this recipe come to life a little bit more. It's kind of like how 3 different classical pianists can take Moonlight Sonata and each have a different interpretation. Interpretation's a big part of music too. But consider, next time you're thinking about learning something in music, how much do you want to learn about it? Do you just want to learn to play it? Do you want to learn why it sounds the way it sounds? How you can use this sound to make something else later? I think they're really worthwhile questions to ask. What kind of a musician are you? Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time on Aimee Nolte Music.